All right. Now we're live. Technology. All right. So, like I was just saying, today we're going to talk about automating your real estate business and how to leverage technology to do a lot of those small tasks, everyday tasks, so you don't have to do them. So you can focus on the most important thing, and that is sales. All right. If you are not focused on sales, then you are not going to be making money. And if you're not making money, you're not going to be in the business long. Instead, it's just going to consistently be a hobby. So, how do we prevent it from being a hobby and to start actually being a career or a wealth creation strategy? So, for me, real estate is all about wealth. It's all about creating a legacy where I can hand to my children and their children, etc. It's something where I can position them to have a foundation up under them so they don't have to struggle so hard. Now, I do want them to struggle, so don't get me wrong. All right. We do want our children to struggle. But real estate creates a lot of leverage. And with leverage comes opportunity, but we first have to learn how to leverage um, our time. And either you're leveraging time or you're going to leverage technology. And again, today we're going to show you how to buy back some of your time and leverage technology. So for me, when I first started out, I was an air traffic controller at PTI Airport in Greensboro. And again, I worked, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, just like everybody else. Nothing special there. When I had my breaks, instead of scrolling on Facebook and doing all these other things, I was comping properties, underwriting properties, talking to agents, talking to sellers, and maybe I only had, 10, 20 minutes, whatever on my breaks. Well, I squeezed in those purposeful conversations and I got better over time and ended up building a portfolio that we, are very blessed to have. All right, to say the least. That led me to going into wholesaling. And if you was on the call yesterday, I talked about how I made a huge mistake by not learning how to wholesale while I was building my portfolio. And simply put, what that made me do was miss out on a lot of opportunity. So there's only three ways to make money in real estate. It's very simple. Either you're going to make big cash paydays via wholesaling, make big cash paydays by flipping, or start to build equity and appreciation and wealth through cash flowing properties and assets, right? That's it. It's that simple. All right. And yeah, we can open up the doors like lending on properties, all those other things, but that's just more of like the passive side of things, right? Like you're not going to have big cash paydays on any of that stuff. Now, what I did, I'm a BRRRR investor, meaning I went out, found properties. Every one of ours needed work, and we went in, flipped them just like we would with our flips, and then turned those into long-term cash flowing properties. And pretty much every one of my deals, we ended up cashing out like 40 to 80K on the refinance. How was I able to do that? Well, I had to learn how to generate off-market opportunities. And what I realized was I was finding a lot of properties from wholesalers. These wholesalers were making 10 to 20 and even $30,000 from me. And then I had to go in and fix them up, repair them, get them back up where we can have a appraiser come in, tell me what it's worth now. And then we go to the bank and the bank goes, yes, I will lend you this much money. And then we cash out and refinance, right? That's the BRRRR strategy. Very simple. Now, you might be saying, hey, Eric, we're in different times now. That was a couple of years ago. Interest rates are higher. It can still be done. All right. And why it can still be done is because you can still generate amazing opportunities in any market. You just have to know where to look and where to focus your time and energy. And if you understand how to do that, then the next lesson and skill that you need to do and learn is how to generate those direct to seller opportunities. And again, we can leverage that through automation. So let me clear out something, and I'm gonna actually show you how to make an offer super quick. So it is absolutely amazing what technology is. We live in a world and day and age where um, AI, right? Artificial intelligence, that's the buzzword right now. Um, it's coming in and it's shifting things so quick. but it's not going to ever replace anything. So, for instance, in this world of automation, there's companies right now where you can hire them and they will have like actual robots, right? Voice automated. It will literally sound just like you. And you can dial out, 1,000, 2,000 dials at one time. And then the robot picks up and talks to them. Well, there's an issue with that. It's really bad, frowned upon. Don't do it. Okay. It's super illegal, and it's not compliance with TCPA laws at all. And matter of fact, those are the bad actors that causes laws like this recent TCPA law that they're trying to pass, which actually got postponed until 2026. But what it is pay per lead. Well, pay per lead, what they do is they run ads and they cold call and they send text and everything else, and they're generating leads, and then you're paying a premium for that lead. Well, what they were doing was handing off the compliance so you can talk directly with the seller. Well, this new law is saying, hey, that's no longer the case. Whenever you generate the lead and the seller says, yes, you can talk to me, that doesn't mean that you can sell that right to that other person. So that's an issue that everybody's raving about. But when it comes down to it, why don't you just learn how to market, learn how to go direct to seller, and bypass all that anyway? Because we can still cold call, we can still text, we can still send emails, and we're in compliance. Now, where it gets kind of wishy-washy is if you're providing a service. So if you're licensed and you're watching this, well, you are providing a service and you need to talk with your broker. Me, I got my license for 6 months. It was a nightmare. I'll never get my license again. It was a big mistake, and it didn't help my business at all. As a matter of fact, it hurt my business in many ways. My wife got licensed, and we got her license because we was flipping a lot of properties. And I was like, hey, why don't you list their properties? Well, it was a great idea, but in reality, this is what happened. We had flips lined up, but because my wife was my wife and she had direct interest in the property, she couldn't show the property at all. So her brokerage would just be like, hey, even if you find the buyer, you have to reach out to another agent and have them walk the property with that seller, or sorry, with that buyer, right? And that blew my mind. Like, it literally, like, it pissed me off. And I called the broker, talking with the broker, and I was just like, this makes no sense. Why would she have a license whenever she can't even show her own property? And well, you don't know what you don't know. All right. And at the time, I didn't know this. I couldn't understand it. But in reality, it makes sense, right? There's always a dichotomy. You can't get mad either way. It's just like, okay, this law or this rule exists because this happened in the past. And because this happened in the past, they wrote this law to prevent it happening again. Well, also, it has the opposite effect. It's like people can over exaggerate it. So, for instance, with the TCPA law, which is a huge issue right now that everybody's talking about, that's been in place for over a decade. All right. It's nothing new. It's always been around. It's just now there's noise coming around, and it's just like, oh no, you can't do this anymore. You can do this. Let's understand why you can do this. And there's case law that proves that if you don't have a license and you're just an investor, you're not providing a service. All right, you can be a wholesaler, you're still not providing a service. You're just calling and you're saying, hey, I want to give you money for something that you have. And because, sorry, my daughter walked in making noise, but so where I'm getting at is understand the laws and understand the requirements. So if you are licensed, you can still do all of this stuff that I'm talking about because agents do it all the time. It's just understanding what you're able to do and what you're not able to do. So what dictates that? Well, now you have the DNC list, right? The do not call list. Well, there's a whole process that I can train you inside the Deal Boss Project where you simply check your list against the DNC. Okay. That's if you want to be super compliant. But even if you do that, you're still going to make mistakes. And you can still get in issues. You can still get people getting pissed off. There's all kinds of things. The thing to understand is the TCPA, they're not after you, whoever you are out there, who's messaging maybe 100, maybe 1,000 people at a time. They're after the big bad actors who are literally blasting people, and that it's turning into a harassment case. Now, are there litigators out there? Sure. Well, we can go down that path all day long and we talk about what if and all this other stuff. At the end of the day, if you have a operation that tracks everything, you can place it inside of your messages where that litigator has no legs to stand on if they were ever to take you to court. So for instance, if you talk with somebody and you ask them if they're interested in hearing, an offer for their property via creative or cash, either way, well, you can text them and say, hey, I just want to verify what we talked about earlier on the phone. And you mentioned that you're interested in hearing a offer on your property, and my team or I, whatever that looks like, we'll get that back to in the next hour or whatever that is, and then they're going to respond and they're going to sign off on that. Think about what we just did. What we just did was provide a very good experience for the seller if they're a real seller. If they're a litigator, we just got verbal consent from them in written form. Done. Right? So now, if that happens to you, well, if you have a good system like we provide in the Deal Boss Project, all of your conversations are tracked. And because they're tracked, they're linked, and it counts, right? It counts in the court of law. Literally, you can take a screenshot, everything else. It's timestamped, it's dated, all these things. And now you're free and clear. Now, let's just say the opposite, and somebody goes, it's initial conversation, and you outreach to them, and all of a sudden they're like, hey, I'm going to sue you, right? And I've never had that happen, actually, okay? Like, I've gotten plenty of F-offs, I got plenty of, wiener pics and all this other stuff, like craziness, but I never got like, I'm suing you, because that's not how a litigator works. How a litigator works is, they mislead you as an investor, and they try to get all of your information to build a case. All right. So if you understand that, now it's like, okay, let me just comply and be a good actor, and I'm good to go. Right. Hopefully this is making sense to you, but like, I don't want you to be scared when I start bringing up automation and showing you how you're doing outreach in a large form. All right. So hopefully anybody who has that objection, you understand it, and we can move on with that. So I'm going to show you how to make offers really quick as well. And in order to do that, I need to jump in here and clean something up. So let's go ahead and delete this. All right. All right. So here we go. I'm going to actually use one of our members' accounts, and we're just going to take it from the top, guys. So what's his website? So this is his website that you get with the Deal Boss Project. It's all included. Everything is ready for PPC ads. Your lead can come in here, check in, and what we was talking about with TCPA, the reason I said that is because this little box right here allows you to message them. And all of this stuff is automatically done. Not only that, but you're covered in the terms and the privacy policy. All of this stuff is automatically filled out. So it has that company's name, it has the company's contact information, etc. You can see how, it's plug and play in here. Like, it is literally written just for this Deal Boss member, Cast Property Solutions, right? So all this stuff is automatically filled out. Then you got terms. All right. Again, all of this stuff is legal requirements that you have to have in order to get compliant. And again, we get you compliant in the Deal Boss Project. So again, you have your website, you have all this, layman's terms. Like, I'm not an attorney, don't act like I am either, but it's going to plug in your email and all this stuff that's required. All right. Your LLC information, all that stuff. Right. You can't get around and hide things, right? So that's one of the things that whenever I first started experiencing this, I'm just like, oh, I'll just hide it. right? You can't do that. And that's really the worst thing you can do. Instead, you want to be overly transparent. And that's what we set you up with inside the Deal Boss project, because all this language right here is written by an attorney. And obviously, you would get it approved by your attorney. But my point with this is it's covering a lot of cool stuff, right? Working with Cass Property Solutions partner agent. And then there's little, talking about referral fees, agents, touring the properties, right? Walking the properties, access, etc. Well, then you got a disclaimer page as well. In the disclaimer page, we cover a lot of cool stuff. For instance, working with wholesalers, right? And it's automatically written for that company. So, for instance, this little piece, which is really good, Cass Property Solution collaborates with wholesalers who have a buyer in place. We are open to signing a JV agreement with wholesalers who can bring pre-qualified buyer to the table. We value productive partnerships that benefit all parties involved. And reason I'm going through this and taking you down this path is because in my experience of being a landlord as a real estate owner, you have to deal with tenants. And I got told this by a much more experienced gentleman than I am. And he said, son, this is what you need to do. Never, ever blame the tenant. Never, ever blame the person. Instead, blame the paper. And he was telling me this when I was flipping and like having more and more tenants and everything that you got to manage. And whenever you run an operation, what you want to do is have it in writing and then live by that writing. All right. And you have to make it very simple so that people can understand it, including yourself, which I'm showing you that. So again, working with wholesalers, what do? Hey, it's actually on our website that we're okay working with you as long as you already have a buyer in place. You, unfortunately, don't already have a buyer in place, and therefore don't shop our property around, right? And there it is in writing, right? So hopefully that makes sense. And if you're getting this, let me know. So again, automatically done, all set up. We'll go back to the homepage, and I'm actually going to walk you through how to get an offer out super quick. All right. Internet's slow, I guess. All right, here we go. All right. And I actually pulled up a property earlier. I'm going to use this property as an example. I kind of like that property. All right. Doo-doo. All right. So now you can see inside of here, it's got a new website lead. And if you open up the website lead, bunch of stuff. All right. It's super simple in the system because this is coming through as a stage 4 opportunity, because if you was running pay-per-click ads, then these are going to be the highest motivated leads. And also when they come through, you want your phone to ring as quickly as possible. So we have all that already set up for you. So if you're running PPC, they submit their lead, it shows up, your phone rings and says, hey, you have a new PPC lead. Press this button to connect now. All right, and that's extremely important whenever you're spending good money to generate opportunities, right? I'm sure you agree. So let's go ahead and look at all the stuff we got to fill out and how hard it is to actually get an offer out. All right. So you can see the main part right here is already filled out. Now, this sidebar is a sales process, meaning it's a start to finish process. You don't really ever have to touch any of this. The only thing you have to touch is seller rating. All right. And then we can move it down our sales process. Now, this is a brand new lead. The next thing we need to do is do some type of quick and dirty and just look at the property to see if it's something that we want to spend time on. So now I can move down to contact and I can see all the information. So like this is my information, right? I'm gonna go ahead and plug in my email address here as well, because I didn't get that in the form. And we have different forms. So go ahead and save that. I'm I'm going to minimize it. And then we got subject property address. You can see it automatically put in the address here. All right. And then if you wanted this to look nice, obviously you move that Greensboro, whatever it is. But all the contracts are written off of this address, the subject property address for all contracts. That's important to understand because remember, what I'm showing you right now is how to send out an offer in literally 2 seconds. All right. So if we already have a blind offer, let's just go ahead and look at this. All right. So this is a Zillow property. And when I pulled this up, I wanted to make sure it's been on the market for a while. So it's been on the market for 44 days. It's a single family, 130. You can see that it definitely needs some loving, right? For sure. I don't know what it's comped out or anything, but initially all I want to do is start a conversation. Well, the best way to start a conversation in real estate is to talk numbers. All right. So 130,000, if I just did 70% of that, that's going to be 91,000. It doesn't mean I'm going to give 91,000 for it, even if he accepted it, right? Most likely he's going to laugh at me, but that's fine because I don't know why he wants to sell anyway. So right here, I can put in 91,000 and that's the blind offer. All right. If I wanted to, if this was not a stage 4 lead and I just wanted to send him a text really quick, check this out. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to show you what that looks like. So I'm going to move him to 50 Shades of Gray, put him inside of our stage 3 opportunity. I'm just going to be like, you know what? This isn't really worth me spending a lot of time on. Instead, I'm going to kick him back to my lead manager. And you see the system just moved it all. So it's one click. All right. I'm going to kick him back to my lead manager. And then what I'm going to do is send him a blind offer. All right. Just a real quick blind offer. And it won't allow you to send a blind offer if it's in stage 4. All right. So now we're in stage 3. I'm just going to check that button right there, hit save. And then the system will do the rest. And obviously I want to be working more contacts. So after I hit that button, like it's done. Like I'm moving on to the next contact. All right. So we'll let it work here real quick. Did it go through? Yeah. So I'm looking to make sure that it went through. So we should be waiting on it here. So as that works, I want you to think about how quick this is if you had a lot of contacts that you had to work at one time. So when it comes to generating opportunities and generating leads, the worst thing you can do is spend a lot of time comping them. You don't need to spend a lot of time comping them. Instead, you need to spend a lot of time starting those conversations and getting the conversations moving so you can identify motivation and pain. And once you identify those, now you're in the game. All right. But that's your initial goal. Don't spend a lot of time comping and underwriting because it's a waste of time. All right. It really is. It's only good whenever you're actually working the properties, like you're actually interested and you have the seller interested and now you're interested in closing on the property. It's the only time it makes sense. All right. And what's going on right here? Oh, you know what? So what happened was I messed up. So here's another thing that we have blocked. So the blind offer, it will go out during a certain time frame, and this member actually has it shut off now since it's after 5. All right, so we're not sending out a blind offer. But what would happen is it would literally send out a text and an email first thing in the morning. At I think 9, he has it set up. So let me move on to the next phase, which is the LOI. All right, so if I scroll down through here, I'm going to close out my subject property address. And let's just say that I already am in conversation with this seller We had a good conversation. I want to actually send him something that's formal that positions me as an expert. Well, I come down to offer details, and there's a whole underwriting process that I teach inside the Deal Boss Project. I'm not going to go over it in detail right now. Instead, I'm just going to show you all this information is automatically filled out. Seller, subject property of interest, which is the address, closing date. Here's a little tip. Anytime you write a contract, don't put a hard closing date because it restricts you and locks you down. And I can't tell you how many times I got a property up in a contract. We open up escrow, and all of a sudden, title takes way longer than a week or two. And if you put a date down that's 2 weeks later, and title takes 14 days to come back because there's, air issues or whatever that is, well, now you have to contact the seller and you got to get an extension on the property, on the contract. All right. And now they have to sign again and all those things. So don't do that. Instead, use this language that we automatically fill out for you, which is 20 days after clear and transferable title. That's it, right? So that's still a date. That is a date. All right. You can do that in contract law. All right. Earnest money, etc. Cash offer. I'll go ahead and put that 91,000 again. All right. If I wanted to put a terms offer, I can do that too. So I can say other terms, and I'll say, let's talk about subject to. I'll say subject to existing loan. All right. And creative option. Again, we can get in detail. There's, a lot of stuff to making an offer. I'm going to keep it super simple. And we're just going to say, hey, this is just going to be a subject to. And the terms offer, obviously, I would have to already know what the loan is and what that looks like. I'm just going to make it up in my head. So let's say terms offer is going to be 70,000 monthly payment. We're going to put that at, let's call it 600. New loan to buyer, I can leave that blank, and we can fill this out in a lot of detail, right? Again, all contract stuff that I can go into more detail with you inside the community. So once you get the basic information here, now all we have to do is select LOI email, and I can hit save. All right. Now it's just going to automatically write an email and it's going to send it to them. And we'll see what that email actually looks like in just a second. All right, so there's my email. It went through. We can open it up in the system. Again, everything is checked. Now, here's a tip. I don't know if you can see this or not, but what's cool about this, actually, before I do this, let's frame this right, okay? Have you ever sent an offer and you're like, did you see my offer? Or you talk to a seller and you're like, you saw my offer, but you have not responded. What is your deal? Right? It just really irritates you. Well, now, whenever you send them an email, you can see if they opened it. So there's a little bitty email icon right there. This is super cool, right? There's a little bitty, oh, come on. Right here. All right, there's a little bitty email icon. And right now it says it's closed because I haven't opened it. All right, so here's the email that it got sent, right? So it has the Deal Bosses member logo already loaded in there. It has my name, the seller, and then it has a pre-written message, and it automatically sends them to their calendar. So I can click on the calendar, and it'll go straight to their calendar, and they can book a time to talk about it, right? So boom, this is already done, right? Fill it out, boom, this is seller experience again, right? Not only that, maybe they don't want to do that, so we give them a phone number to call back. They can email it. We want to make sure that it's least friction as possible, okay? Again, we want that conversation to be started and get it moving. Then you can see the letter intent of purchase, and then it will have purchaser. If I filled that out, I didn't fill it out. Seller is me, right? Because I'm the seller in this scenario. Address, and then 30 days or less or around. The seller's schedule. Buyer will pay for all selling and closing fees as high as $20,000. Again, this is pre-written because these are objections that your seller automatically has. All right, and then you can see it plugged in the terms offer, right? And they can see two offers already here. And then once it sends it, it automatically sends them a text message that says, hey, Eric, I just sent you an offer. It's in your email. There's their email. We're verifying their email address. Let me know if you have it, please. Right. And then because I never texted them, it has the workaround for opt-out message again. So you avoid your error rates and everything on your phone numbers, because that's very important. Right. So we just get them to reply back with a 0 instead of stop, end, and any of those TCPA compliant trigger words. We do have it compliant though. There's end right there. That's all you got to do. You got to have the end in the message. We have it in the message. Boom, we're compliant. If they text back 0, then it's going to automatically put them on the DNC for the text, but you don't get hit on your phone number error rate, right? So that's super cool. All right, so what we're talking about is offers, and I'm going to show you what it looks like in my email. So here's my email. It comes through very professionally with the Deal Boss members company name, right? Here's offer for address. Boom. What's that offer? They open it up. It looks super professional. It's nice and clean. And then it's very simple. Terms offer, purchase, 70,000, monthly payment, 60,000, all cash, 91,000. Now, in this little scenario, I did do this backwards. Terms offer is normally higher and more than your cash offer. So ideally, this terms offer would be closer to their actual asking price. So for instance, you know, this for sale by owner tire kicker right here wants 130 for this property. So if I was going to send them a terms offer, then I would make it closer to that 130, or at least more than my cash offer. That way their logic brain would say, hey, let me know more about this. And again, I want that conversation to get started, right? And again, you don't have to write any of this. You don't have to save a template in your email or anything. You fill it out. Notes are already taken. You don't have to type in a bunch of notes. I can't tell you how often my team got bogged down by trying to take good notes that I didn't even want to know about. Instead, it's automatically done. So let me show you that. So over here, we sent them an offer. Then we can click on notes. And here it is, LOI sent. When? Well, it's February the 4th. What time? 6:32. Remember how I said everything's documented? Everything's documented. And then it gives me my numbers, all right? Even blind offers sent, which again, that's in a campaign that'll happen tomorrow. That happens. That's tracked. So, you know, maybe you're a one-man show right now, or maybe you have your VA. Well, with virtual assistants, and even if you bring an American, they're all the same. I promise you, I've tried them, I tested it. And what'll happen is they will say they're doing something. And if you don't have the proper operations and systems in place, then you have to take their word for it. Okay. And maybe they have good intentions and they're actually thinking that they're doing the things that actually move the needle. Or in my experience, they were working Pizza Hut and other businesses while they was working for me. And the only reason I caught it was because I had a screen recording using Time Doctor to, you know, monitor their time, and ended up catching them. And, you know, we cut them and replace them. Right. But now I don't even need Time Doctor. Like, Time Doctor is an overhead expense. I don't remember how much it is. We still use it for our team, but I think it's like $300 a year or something like that, depending on how many users you have. And what it does is it takes screenshots of their computer, and I think we got it set up for like every couple of minutes, like 3 minutes or something like that. So then we can go back and we can catch them, you know, scrolling on Facebook, whatever that is. And we're just like, hey, you spent 2 hours scrolling on Facebook. I'm not paying you for that time because you wasted my time. And if you do it again, you're currently on probation. If you do it again, we will be letting you go. This is your warning, right? And that's, again, principles. So remember earlier when I talked about contracts, you got to have principles that you live by. So coming back into submitting the offers, your principle that you have to live by in real estate is how many offers are you sending out a day? Now, maybe you don't have the leads or the prospects that you can send out offers every day. So start with how many offers are you sending out every week? All right. There's no excuses for you not to have opportunities that you can make offers on every week. All right. There's really not. So I'm not even going to talk about month because that's way too long. but you can absolutely start with a week and say, hey, my goal this week is to get one offer out, and I'm just going to learn the process. And then you come in here, you get a property. Literally, you could do this for sell by owner property, right? Plug in the address, plug in the information. Here's his phone number, right? Where's it at? Right here, property owner's phone number, right? And now this is somebody who wants to sell. Because they are somebody that wants to sell, that is a lead, right? That's a good quality lead. The issue is we haven't identified proper motivation and pain. We just know that they want to sell. So that's something to take into consideration. Most for sale by owners, they're very cheap people and they can't stand for other people to make money. And I'm not saying you can't make money with for sale by owners, but essentially they're the worst sellers to work with in my experience. And obviously I'm biased. So, but you can absolutely cut your teeth on for sale by owners because you can win deals. I've done deals with for sale by owners. It's just, again, that mindset. Why would they choose not to pay a real estate agent to handle all of this information, all of this stuff? Why would they not pay an agent who does this every day to collect buyers, right? And then just hand them offers because they don't want to pay 6% of their total sales price, but they're willing to let it sit for 44 days on the market. You see what I'm saying? So negotiating is going to be really difficult with this person. But if you build a relationship with them and you work that sales process, you can absolutely win in targeting for sale by owners. And these are free, right? All you got to do is just come in your market, scrub it, put it into your system, and literally you can start making offers every day, just like I showed you, right? Doing simple math. It doesn't even have to make sense. Now, I'm not saying to like send out bad offers. What I'm saying is it doesn't have to be a offer where it's just like, this is it. Instead, focus on starting the conversation, having them engage with you, and then you can have that conversation and say, hey, yeah, initially when we looked at it, we thought we could do this, but because of this changes. So before we actually put a contract in writing, I would like to do this, right? And now it's in a negotiation. That's how negotiations work. All right. I had to learn that the hard way too. When I first started, it was just like, oh my gosh, when I make an offer, it has to be the offer. And therefore I spent a lot of time in analysis paralysis, underwriting, and trying to get everything perfect because I don't know. Okay. I honestly don't know. It's what I was taught, like growing up as a child and whatever these things are. Like it's this little voice in your head. All right. I get it. But in order to have an operation where you're going direct to seller, you don't have to do that. Instead, have a simple formula and then get those offers out every day. And then you're coming back and following up with them. So for instance, because we sent out an LOI, all right, so let's refresh this really quick. Because we sent out an LOI, the seller rating, excuse me, the seller rating automatically changed to LOI sent. Okay, hopefully you got that, right? Remember that seller rating was in, it was called 50 Shades of Grey 3-day follow-up, which means it's not a hot lead. Instead, we sent the LOI with a click of a button and the system automatically changed the rating to LOI sent. And now when I go to my dashboard and I look at what I'm accomplishing, I can see in phase 2 right here, which is offer phase, that I made an offer. And at the end of the week, this right here should be no less than 7. All right. You should be putting out offers. The worst case scenario is you send out an LOI that's in an email form and you get no response. I didn't show you this, but also I want to show you that it tells you if I opened it or not. All right. So now you can see I opened the email, right? You hover over it. It literally says opened. All right. So now I know that seller opened my email. Now, okay, Eric, well, what if you look at it and they didn't get your email? Then message them and say, hey, it looks like you haven't saw my offer. Now you have a reason to contact them and you have something to talk about. And it's simply, hey, you haven't seen my offer. How do I know you haven't seen my offer? And you just say, hey, my system is showing that you haven't received my offer, and I want to make sure there's no issues. Right? You getting this? Like, this is good, right? It's super simple. The exact same process for actually sending out contracts, which I'm not going to show you because I think I already showed you enough. Like the LOIs, huge. All right. This was just an LOI email format that I showed you tonight. But what will happen is the system will automatically take this contact and move it to another stage in stage 4. So right here, LOI sent. In 1 day, it's going to automatically move it to LOI feedback. And what that is a trigger for you running your operation to reach out to this person and say, hey, did you get my offer? Hey, what was your thoughts on my offer? And when they say, no, I'm not interested, be like, oh, okay, great. What do you not like about my offer? And now they're like, well, it's too low. Okay, well, where do I need to be at? And now you start that negotiation process all over again, right? Are you getting this? Like, this is how it's done. All right, this is how it's done. It's that simple. And then after you get out of the offer phase, you write up an actual contract, you open up escrow, and you run down the next phase. All right. So hopefully you got value out of this. Like I said, this is a game changer for us for sure, because now it doesn't take a highly skilled sales person to run my acquisitions. All right. It's very simple. Click of a button. I can dial in the processes. I can easily explain it. And all they have to do is just fill out the sidebar, hit a button, go. Me as the entrepreneur, I can come in and I can look at my dashboard and I can actually see movement. And because of that, I can have a recalibration at the end of every week on Friday or Saturday or Sunday, whenever I find time. And then I can come up with a game plan to focus on Monday. So again, whether it's you or you have a team, one VA is a team. Okay. Your spouse, your wife or your husband, that's a team. Well, now you can look at what's happening. And then on Monday, you can be like, hey, guys, last week we only got out 3 offers. What's the deal? And they'll be like, oh, well, we didn't find any properties we was actually interested in. Okay, now we know where we need to start and where we need to focus. Why are you not finding properties that you're interested in? Is that because you're only focused on cold outreach? Or do you need to focus on cold outreach, let your system generate leads, but then also go to where sellers already are, the MLS, and then start pulling, scrubbing those lists? And whether it's you literally sitting down and finding, 10 properties every week that's listed on the MLS, that's been listed for 60 plus days, and then writing up and putting them in your system and sending out the LOI, that still counts, and that will move the needle, and you will make money that way. And then if you do that week after week after week, before you know it, you will then be direct to seller, because the operation, the marketing, the automatic SMSs and calls and all that other stuff that's working, it's going to start compounding. And it's going to start creating those stage 2 and stage 3 contacts. And now you can send offers there. All right. Hopefully you're getting this. I'd love to know your feedback. Message me, DM me, whatever that looks like for you. Join us in the Deal Boss Project. You can see the link in the description below. It's a free community. And again, when you join the Deal Boss Project, if you're interested in getting the full operation marketing scheme set up, we do all that stuff for you. It's super cool. A lot of people are enjoying it, and it's changing the game. Stay blessed by the best, and I'll talk to you soon.